From big man to ultra man. Today on the Do Hard Things Today podcast, we have Officer Duncan. Hal Morris, man, big week in your life. You are Mr. Triathlon now. You just did your second triathlon. In fact, you have probably done as many triathlons in the last couple of weeks as anybody in the world. That's probably true.
Oh, yeah. These in South Carolina.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So how'd it go real quick this morning?
Oh, went really good.
Yeah.
Cut like 5 minutes off my swim time. So went really good. It was a home course, basically, on the bike and the run.
Cool.
So it went really good.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Sound like you had some really good results. So
yeah, I
better,
was happy.
man.
Getting better. Getting faster.
And that's not the biggest thing. So you are a grandpa again.
Oh, yeah. Pappy times two.
Pappy times two. You like to be called Pappy.
Pappy.
And your wife likes to be called Granny. Right?
Granny.
Yeah, Granny.
JJ over there.
Yeah. So we're all thankful that everything went good. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Waiting on them to get home from the hospital. Bring
Cool.
the baby home.
Cool. That's awesome, man. Awesome. Well, today on the Do Hard Things Today podcast, we got a special guest, one of our good friends. He's a member of our run groups and has had a pretty amazing transformation. And that is Mr. Bobby Duncan. Everybody, big hand for Mr. Bobby Duncan.
Hello.
Yay! Everybody's clapping for Mr. Duncan. So, Bobby, man, we're doing two podcasts today. We got Matthew Hammersmith coming on that runs a ultra series and things here in town and in this region and for ultra marathons. And those who don't know what ultra marathon is, that's like anything over the 26.2 miles, which is a regular marathon. And Bobby has completed his first one.
Yes.
And then he has another one that he's already jumped into. So I think he's kind of got that itch. But we wanted to have Bobby on twice. We're going to have him on with Matthew to which Bobby is a beginner ultra athlete to talk about ultras and all the nuances with that and how a beginner can be involved. But we also wanted him to come in by himself and talk about his transformation because we've seen just over, and he'll tell more of this story, but you can see the transformation that Bobby has had. And, we wanted to bring him in to talk about that. But before we get to that, Hal, where can they find us?
iTunes, of course, Google Play Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and you can ask Alexa to play the Do Hard Things Today podcast, and she will. And I've been leaving out YouTube.
Yep.
You can actually hear these on YouTube.
Yep. And as promised, we are going to be doing some videos. We are actually going to record another video this week. We're going to hold ourselves accountable to it. We're going to get one done every week for a video for you. And also, please go. We get a ton of great feedback from you. We run into people all the time that listen to the podcast. We get people from all over the country that are listening, send us feedback through email, through our Facebook group. But it would mean a lot to us if you would take the time to give us a review on iTunes. You can go on there, give us a 5-star review. Even if you write something, it's even better. What that does is that helps us move up the rankings, and more people will be exposed to this and what we're doing here and the transformation and the inspirational stories that you will hear on the Do Hard Things Today podcast. So
we're closing in on 15,000 downloads.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. 15,000. That's pretty surreal to think about that.
I was really surprised at the crowd I had to go through to get in here today
Yep.
to do this podcast.
That's right. That's right. Hey,
Today's show has nothing on y'all.
Not everybody gets invited to be on the Do Hard Things
Yeah.
Today podcast. There's a long line of people waiting outside, right? Right.
Yep.
That's our story, and we're sticking to it. So, Mr. Duncan.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about your journey. Let's before we get into what you're doing now and how you did it. Let's talk about before the journey started, and maybe the before picture of Bobby Duncan.
Okay. All right. Well, 10 years ago, my wife and I, we got into running. We trained for a half marathon, Spinks half marathon, which is one hilly race. But I got in shape back then and felt good, and we ran, but we was running by ourselves. We didn't have a community or anything, and basically we reached that goal, and then after that, we didn't run anymore. So during that 10 years after, gained weight, didn't hardly exercise every once in a while, but nothing to really amount to anything. And I started working out at Dorman as one of their SROs. And when I'd work an event at night, I would start seeing people running around campus. And so I'd keep seeing them. And I really enjoyed running when we ran. And I'd gain a lot of weight. Being an officer wearing that vest and that gun belt, it only gives so far. And, so it's almost miserable wearing that uniform. And plus all the other things that when you gain weight, all the other problems, high blood pressure and everything like that. So I just decided, I was like, I don't even know who I spoke to, but I think I was working a baseball game and pulled up next to some people running and asked them, hey, who you running with? Tell me a little bit about it. And everybody was friendly and told me what days, and figured out it was Hub City. And then I came in here to the store, talked to Jill, found out a little bit more, and then talked to my wife, and we just decided we were going to start running. Now, starting back at I was probably about 195 pounds at that time, the heaviest I've ever been. It was humbling knowing I ran a half marathon, but then I was starting over. But, we came and we started, and I think I was in the 5K group. We probably started, 1 minute run, 1 minute walk, and worked our way up.
How long ago was this?
This is, I'd say a little over a year ago.
Yeah. And so you were what? What was your weight?
It was about 295.
I was about to say, you said 195.
I meant
was about
295.
To say,
295.
You and me have not.
Yes.
You and me have never seen 195 in a long time.
No, not since high school. 295.
So you're 295. You are, for those who don't know, Bobby's a police officer, and he's actually our school resource. We got a huge high school here that we run at, big campus and thing. But he's a school resource officer there as well. And so what were some of the things that you started to experience physically, everything that caused you to take that first? But because what you did, honestly, when you went up to that group and talked to them, that's really the hardest step in this whole process for people. There's people out there right now that are listening that are thinking, I need to take that step. I see people out running. I see communities of people that are getting themselves in shape. I need to take that first step, but they don't. So what gave you the guts or the drive or whatever it was to take that first step?
Well, I just remembered back when I was running all the time, how I actually enjoyed it. You can get to the point where you do enjoy running, and I wanted to feel that again. I've got kids. I knew at my weight and everything else, I wanted to see them grow up and see my grandkids one day and stuff. And so, I just knew how I felt when I was running all the time, and I knew I needed a better lifestyle, and I knew, it'd be tough, but, you just take that first step, and take it slow. I think a lot of people try to start out too fast and get discouraged when they think they can go out there and run three miles, and they run a mile and just go back and sit on the couch and say it's too tough, and I experienced that, but you just got to keep going.
And that is so hard. I mean, when Hal, you can probably speak to this on those first few bikes that you did, but I'll never forget going when I first started back, and when you look back to, especially if you got some kind of an athletic background, or you used to run, or used to be in shape, and then you let yourself go, and then you jump back in. I remember the first time I did that. I'll never forget it. I jumped on a treadmill, what used to be Peak Fitness gym that's long. It's a church now, I think. And man, I got on there, and I was like, I'm I'm gonna do about 3 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, I got a minute in and I was dying. I left, got off the treadmill, got in my car, stopped at the McDonald's on the corner right there, got probably a Big Mac meal. I don't know what I got, but I was so frustrated because I felt like, wow, I need to. But then, okay, well, let's go back the next day. This is where I am, and moving back. And it sounds like, you took the right approach of
Yes.
not jumping in, the crazy style. And
Mm-hmm.
and I can probably, I know in our local area with the Hub City Runners, there's always a beginner group, and everybody's super friendly. But you can find those no matter where you're listening. How you remember your start back up the mountain?
Oh yeah, that first bike ride when I cramped up, my calf cramped up, and
Yep.
I had to pull on the side of the road. And the guy I was riding with, it was just two of us. I yelled at him. I said, "Scott, Scott!" He didn't hear me. Kept on going. So eventually, he turned around and didn't see me there.
Yeah.
Came back and got me. But oh yeah, that was tough.
And I remember one of your times at boot camp, and you went home, and then you were like, you commented, I mean, I've just been sitting in my chair all day. I thought I was going to die.
Oh yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
But look where you are now. Both of you of what you're doing. It's those small baby steps that get you to this. So you start running, and
Mm-hmm.
you said you were doing like the 1-1 run
Mhm.
that, and that's the run walk method where you
Mhm.
run 1 minute, walk 1 minute, and then so progress us through you're going to do a race. Then you started doing more working out. You're faithful at boot camp. You lead boot camp. I mean, talk about the progression from there.
Yeah, well, start out 1-1, and then it built on that. 2-1, and our plan was just to get back to running. A 5K and stuff, and then Carmen and I decided we want to do a half marathon because I wanted to redeem myself from the Spinks half marathon.
Yeah.
I cramped up real bad, didn't have a good time. It was pretty bad. Even though I ran, I was probably in a little better shape then than I was when I did the Myrtle Beach one. But I wanted to, but I trained smarter for the Myrtle Beach one than I did for the Spinks one 10 years earlier. But we met with our group. There, like you said, there's beginner groups for any distance that you want to go with the Hub City Runners, and we just started coming, and there's people that hold you accountable in our group, and I like to, if you follow the web page and stuff, that they call me out a good bit, especially if I don't come, so that's motivation to come.
Well, and
But it's all in
if
good,
Bobby
good
doesn't
fun.
show up,
yeah,
It's
He
all
knows
in
it.
good fun, and
and you're a big part of that as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so it's not one sided.
So yeah, just I just built a base and trained for that half marathon, and we went down there and did it. And there's a big group that went down there and did it, and we've all had a good time. And it's just addictive when you have a group to do it with.
Did you fall off the wagon at all?
Yes.
Let's talk about that. What caused you to fall off the wagon, and then how'd you drag yourself back on?
Well, I fell off the wagon probably right after the half marathon in March, and we didn't have another race scheduled, or they got canceled, and it almost was like the last time I ran the Spinks, did a goal. I'm gonna take a little time off. Took a little bit more time off.
Yep.
I was doing a few miles, but nothing like I had been doing, and we just being called out and everything else. I finally decided to come back, and and I started gaining some weight back, and I knew how hard I worked to try to get that off, and so I just made up my mind that I was going to start running, and when a race came available, it came available. Yeah. But
well, and Bobby, you're in a tough line of work right now. I mean, being a police officer and obviously with everything going on, it's a tough time to be when you're out there trying to help people and trying to trying to be the protector of people, and sometimes it's people just aren't grateful for what you guys actually do, and but one of the things I've seen this. Our company does business with a lot of. I mean, we do things for police officers and their uniforms and other things. But like even like with you, police officers, a lot of them had to wear. I mean, you wear a bulletproof vest.
Yes.
And that is something that you start thinking about your family, and those things are not. I mean, people think because we sell those bulletproof in our public safety division, and they think it's like, hey, well, I need a large. Well, it's not like that. It's not you. These things are custom fitted because it's got to cover all the. Well, it's got to cover everything if you're shot. Did you start running into issues like with that of, man, this thing's not fitting right again?
They definitely fit you differently. When and if you lose a lot of weight, they fit you differently. You got to tighten them up some. But if you gain so much weight, the elastic the Velcro just lets out so much. So you're pinched in places you wouldn't pinch before and everything. So it makes a big difference. Like I said, that uniform and that gun belt, it'll tell you without stepping on the scale if you've gained or lost weight.
Yeah. And I got to believe that being in shape has got to help your mental health with all the stresses you guys are under every day. So we roll on through. You're doing these marathons. You've hit on a couple of really important points. I don't want to glaze over this accountability. And when you really get in a good group, you start getting things like where you get called out all the time. If you're not there, where are you? And that's the beauty of a group where it's not just an individual. It is people know when you're not there, and they're gonna, where are you at? Where'd you go? Where you been? And so those things are really important. So you're taking these baby steps. Now you get to the point you do another half marathon, feeling good, feeling strong, and the next thing you know, you're signed up for 50K, right?
Yes.
Okay, so why in the world would you decide to do that?
I still don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
We were down at the beach, and Tony Clements, she is in our run group. She's a beast, and her and a couple others, Lisa and Reggie had done one maybe a month before or something similar, and so we were in a group chat, and she said, "Hey, why don't you and Carmen come and camp with us down in Columbia?" And do this 50, and you do the 50K. So I said, okay, not really thinking. I'm thinking it's further on down the road than it is. But, I'm all up for a challenge. So I almost immediately signed up for it.
Yeah.
Went back and signed up. I think she couldn't believe that I really signed up. It didn't hit me to the next day when somebody said, that's just 2 weeks away, don't you?
That okay turned into a
Yes. Yeah. Because, the furthest I've ever ran was a half marathon. And that was in March.
That's 13 miles. Now, if you reverse those numbers, that's 31 miles. And that's what a 50K is. So you're going from 13 miles to now you're doing 31 miles.
Yes.
And so you're 2 weeks. Disclaimer here: we probably would not recommend going from a 13 miler to a 50K in 2 weeks. But you did. You're sitting here, so it did not kill you. So you got 2 weeks. I said on the next podcast we're going to talk about ultras and the right way to do them, and for beginners and other things like that. But talk us through the experience of that race, what it taught you, what you learned out there, because you're out there a long time. So I mean, you when you're out on a course for a long time, I've been out on courses for a long time. You learn a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
You have some interesting conversations with yourself. But what take us through that whole experience and maybe some of the lessons you learned through that.
Well, I learned not to sign up for a 50K with 2 weeks. That was the first thing. But the first week after I signed up, I could tell I was telling people they were doubting me. And I'll be honest, I was doubting myself up until about probably 3 or 4 days before the event. Then I just made up my mind. You're going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't care if you got to walk the whole time. You're going to do it, And, I had ran I've ran the POW down there, but it was just an 8 mile that Matthew Hammersmith puts on with Upstate Ultras. And so I knew walking was acceptable on trail runs and stuff. So I didn't really worry about it. The only thing I wanted to do was finish before it got dark, So I really didn't change up my plan. I really just ran like I normally did over the next 2 weeks and did boot camp and stuff. And so when we get down there, my wife, she knows I'm stubborn. So I'm getting ready, putting on my shoes and everything else. Well, she comes out because we camp and she says, Bobby, please stop if you feel like you're going to have a heart attack. Because she knew in my head that I was not going to stop. It would be something medical that would keep me from finishing that thing.
I can picture her and literally hear her in that voice saying that.
And she was dead serious. So I had to promise her if I felt like I was going to have a heart attack, I would stop. But so we got there and, I done made up my mind. So, over 2 weeks, I looked up, I watched probably 100 YouTube videos. I talked to Reggie and them about what do they do. Because I knew in both of my half marathons, I cramped up, So that was my biggest thing. I just do not want to cramp, And so I read some stuff, how not to do that and all that. And I had the gummies, the goos, the salt tablets, and everything else prepared, and even made brownies. That was another good thing about Ultra. It's okay to eat brownies during it. Yeah. And so I had a somewhat of a plan, but of course, till you get punched in the mouth, you think you have a good plan.
I was about to say Mike Tyson.
Yes. Yeah. So this particular race was 6 laps, and it was a little over 5 miles. I think the whole race was probably a little over 34 miles total. And so the first lap, I've ran 5 miles before. Wasn't that bad. Did run, walk kind of thing, walked every hill. Second lap, I've done 10 miles before, so I'm still feeling pretty good. Third lap is okay. I'm approaching, now I'm past the half marathon. Now I'm starting to play head games with myself because, like I said, I've never been past a half marathon. So I'm texting people because I'm out there by myself, and I'm texting, hey, half marathon down, just to get some sort of conversation going back with somebody. Of course, I'm walking when I'm texting. And so I'm still walking, running some. Fourth, fifth lap, then starts the real mind games. I remember if anybody's around me, they're saying, who's he talking to? Because I'm sitting there going, you're stupid. Why in the world did you sign up for this? And then you would see, good thing about being a loop race, you'd start pointing out things and it'd kind of, okay, I'm almost at the end of this lap, but I took little small pieces, 5K, 10K, half marathon, or laps, and counted down instead of counted up. But, Carmen, my wife, she was going to run the next to last lap with me. And when I came in on that next to last lap, she was getting ready to go. And I said, no, I'm going to need you on this last lap. So I'll suffer through this next last one. I'll need you on the last. And so we did, I came back in, and on 6th lap, she was ready to go. I had to slow her down a little bit. Yeah. She was running she's running her first 5 miles, and I was finishing up 30 something. So, but she helped me through it. She really did. And then Scott Clement, he did a real good job, helping us out at our little aid station and everything. So to me, it was really mental. I think when I ran the half marathon, I think that was a different type of tired, because you going faster. Yeah. And you're trying to beat a time. And doing that, it's just long. It took me a little over 10 hours to finish. Yeah. So just being on my feet for 10 hours, I wasn't tired like you would be if you were sprinting and stuff, but I was just kind of exhausted because my joints and stuff was hurting.
Yeah. Well, and Bobby, you're right. When you talk about the progression, and this is something I want to talk to Matthew about, but when you talk about the progression from a half marathon to a full marathon, and when people are going from that, get asked that question of, Well, so it's just like kind of double training. I'm like, no. It's like 4 times, because when you go from that 13 mile and then you start creeping up into 15, 18, 20,
Yes.
23, 20, there's so much of a mental taxation that you just, in that 13, usually in a 13 miler, you're out there, and like I said, you're going a little bit harder, and the end is always kind of in sight.
Mm-hmm.
You get to 13 miles in a marathon, and like, oh, well, I'm on halfway there.
Yes.
Then it's kind of you get into that deep water. Well, then you take an ultra, which, you say you did 34 miles. Well, that's 8 more miles in a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant battle against your mind. I think your body will do it.
Yes.
We talk about that in boot camp. It's like, you don't have a body problem, you got a mind problem.
Yes, I totally agree.
And your body will, and I just encourage any of you out there, your body will do so much more than you think it will. Mm-hmm. It's your mind that you got to train to be able to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you were right in the middle of that battle out there in the woods.
Most definitely was.
Yeah. And so did you have any kind of tricks or anything that you would give to people, even people that are trying to fight through a 5K, the
Mm-hmm.
first 5? What's the mind tricks that you told? Well, number one, I think you hit on the most important one. And again, let me just preface this by saying, take the advice of your wife, Carmen. If you ever feel like you're really in trouble, like health-wise or anything like that, then stop. You use your head. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about when you're in the middle of it and it just, man, this hurts. Gosh, I'm tired. I'm tired of being out here, all those things. You made the decision, I'm not going to quit. You started being like, I'm just not going to quit. If I have to walk the entire thing, I'm not going to quit. So that would be a crucial one. But when you were out there on the trail and out there they're doing this in a 10-mile journey, what's one mental thing that you would tip that you would give to everybody out there?
Well, one of the things I just kept going through my mind, I am not going back and telling everybody I didn't complete it.
Mm.
And I, like I said earlier, I'm very stubborn. Once I get my mind set on something, I'm going to do it no matter how I have to do it. I was slow. I was really slow. But I've said from the beginning, I'm going to do a zone 2. I'm not going to go above a zone 2. I'm not going to try to do a 4-1 or anything like that. And I stuck to the plan. And it was kind of funny. I had some Beats wireless headphones, and before the race started, I leaned back on this rail and I lost them. So I was going to listen to music and stuff, but I didn't know where they were. So the lap before, which was my 5th lap, that I really was struggling, I looked over because we ran by the section that I was leaning back on, and I saw my headphones on that fence still. So I put them in.
It's like a sign from God.
Yes, yes. So I put them in, and a buddy of mine sent a little video that the week prior, and said it was a David Goggins video. And I love David Goggins. He's real motivational. And so I put that in, and it was about a 7-8 minute little clip, but I bet I listened to that thing.
You're thinking
7 or 8
stay
times.
hard.
Yes,
Stay hard.
Yes. Yeah. So, it is. It's a big mind game. And as long as you stick to your plan, don't try to go out too fast, and you're going to finish. Just have a no lose mindset. You're going to finish. And I mean, you feel your joints aching, you feel the blisters on your feet and stuff like that. But the good thing, again, with it being like a 5-mile loop, you can change shoes, you can put more ointment on, you can put tape on, all that stuff. So you can do some things between laps to help you out.
Speaking of ointment, we were talking yesterday. This is a shameless plug.
Yes.
And a funny story. So I asked him if he used salty britches for chafing during the race, and he said he did. And so we'll be Amy Tucker that owns Salty Britches. We'll be running with her next week at Aiken the Lake. But what was your story you told me? What happened with your Salty Britches and your?
Well, I learned a valuable lesson. Whenever you have any ointment, and I had salty britches that I got here at Hub City, and I also had some Himalayan salt in this little pack.
Oh no!
Well, you don't store your salty britches, which is your lubricant, keep things from rubbing together, in the same pouch that your Himalayan salt's on. Because when you're out in the middle of the trail trying to fix things, it doesn't work out too good. It was actually salty britches.
It was salty.
Yeah, you know, your mind. I think your mind is made. I think it's just the way God made us. When you're out there doing stuff like that, you can only like think about like one or two things.
Yes.
So make it as easy on yourself as you can.
Yes.
Don't think that you're going to be able to get out there and make really good decisions. Like, well, no, plan out. Don't put your salt with your. Oh man, I can just feel that right now.
Oh yes.
That's
a mistake I'll never make again.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of those you make once.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you said something that's real important, and with the risk of some of our listeners being mad at us, I'm just going to say it. You know, you said I didn't want to go back and tell people that I quit.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we let people off the hook, and again, you don't have to be mean about this, and it's not judgmental, and it's not anything else. But if nothing catastrophic is going on, if nothing like you've got a legitimate injury or anything like that, it's really not okay to quit.
No.
You know,
No.
It's just not okay to quit. And I think the mentality, we got to change our mentality out there of, you know, we just let ourselves off the hook. We let ourselves take the easy way out when things get really tough. And it's just, you know, when you said that of, gosh, I've had that thought so many times out on a course or where I'm just like, man, I don't really want to tell people that I quit.
Yes.
And I think that's some good motivation to keep in your head when you're doing these things. And if you're, I said, whether it's a 5K, a 10, half mile, whatever bike ride, whatever you're doing, of just have that mindset of there's no way I'm going to quit. And I promise you, when you hit that finish line, then it'll be so worth it. So tell us about your finish line.
Well, like I said, Carmen finished or did the last lap with me.
Did she act like she did the whole thing, or did she just act like she did the last lap?
No, she just act like she did the last lap. Except when she got up and took off,
She's sitting over there, so
I had to tell her, slow down, Seabiscuit, get back in the stall. But she helped me out a lot, you know, and with her being with me, that last lap was good. But in my mind, I knew it was my last lap, you know, so it made it a lot better. And, you know, like I said, I knew at that point I was finishing. And, you know, it took me the point to go off what you were just talking about. Nobody ever says, well, you did 34 miles, but it took you 10 hours. Nobody will ever go, oh, well, you know. But they will if you quit. Go, it almost just voids if you quit without being injured. You know, we all know there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. You know, I mean, everybody that does an ultra is hurting, you know. And one of the things I forgot to point out, I've ran road races, and I've ran that was my second trail race. And, you know, road races people run, they're kind of in their own little lane, and nobody says anything. Everybody's worried about times and everything else. Well, these, you know, the two races I've been in, the trail races, everybody's friendly. Even the guy that wins it, if you're walking and you look like you're about to die, they'll come by, hey, you're looking strong, good job. Real encouraging, you know. So that helps too, because, you know, on those laps I had nobody. I didn't care if that guy passed me, because when he passed me, he gave me some encouragement, or she did, you know. So, you know, it's funny, when I crossed the finish line, we went back to our camper, I sat down and I told Carmen, I said, if I ever say I'm going to do another one of these, you tell me no. And she's like, okay. So on the way home, I said, I think I'm going to do another one.
So when's the next one?
She said, no, you're not. I said, no, I am. She said, well, you told me to, to tell you no. I said, you can't go by what I say right after a race.
That's right.
So it was one of those things that it's a weight lifted off of you. You say you did it, and it's kind of like a high that you get after you completed one.
So you're signed up for another one.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
And so when you look at, do you think this is, I think everybody kind of finds their thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is like, this is the thing that I want to do. Do you think you found your thing now?
I think I do. I mean, I want to run a road marathon, but I kind of like the trail stuff a little better. I will run a road marathon just to say that I did it. But I've done 2 trails and I really enjoyed them. They're tough, and I think this might be my thing.
And Carmen, she got scratched that itch a little bit on one lap, and I think you've drug her.
She's drug into
this.
We've got about how many do we have? About 10 people.
About 10 people.
10 people. Jill, she's going to do it with us.
Yeah.
Hal decided to watch the store that day, and she's going to do it with us. And we've got a lot of people that's going to do it, all different ages, all different skill levels. And, one of the things that all of us is setting our mind to is we're going to do it.
Yep.
No matter what, we have some older people, we have a few younger people, but I read or saw a video or something last week, and it said the average person that does the ultras is around 50 years old.
Yeah.
So it's not just something that young people are doing, but everybody's excited about it. We started training on the trails and stuff, and anybody can come join us.
Yeah.
Jump on the crazy train, like we say.
That's right. And you do kind of get drug into these things. If you hang around, like a fitness community, you'll get drug into them by peer pressure. So let's talk to the people. We got a lot of listeners that are on that other side of the fence, and they're where you were. You watching people. You've worked out before, but you've gained weight, and you're not feeling good, and all those things that go into that. And you took that first step. What are a couple of things you would encourage those people that are just they're struggling, they know they got to do something, but they just don't know what to do?
I would say don't try to do a 5K your first day. Walk 100 yards.
Yeah.
If you get to 100 yards and you do 200 yards, do more than that. Don't try to run the whole thing. You can find online, or you can come to our groups, and everybody can tell you about the walk-run approach. Don't start out with high expectations. Build up to that, because if you start out saying, I think if you ask probably average person that just starts out goes, well, I'm going to go run 3 miles. And if you're not running 3 miles, it's going to be tough for you to run, but in a month after you start, you may be able to. So start out slow and build a base, and just, don't get discouraged when you go out there and you don't run as fast or as far as you thought you should go, but also there's running groups everywhere, not just here in Spartanburg. There's running groups everywhere, but I'd recommend you finding a running group, that way they can show you what you can do to make things easier and hold you accountable.
Yeah. That's the big piece of the puzzle, that accountability of having somebody that cares enough about you to call you out, and you will get called out, and it's all in good fun, but it is also that thing of, all right, Bobby, where you been last week?
Yes.
Hadn't seen you in boot camp, or hadn't seen you at the runs. Where you been? And it just keeps us all moving in the right direction. Well, man, we're proud of you. We've seen the transformation, and again, you lead boot camp with me. I mean, you're doing a great job, and I know you're an example to a lot of people. And and honestly, you think about it. How many kids see you every day?
Yeah, That's a good many.
Yeah, a lot.
Good many.
Lot of kids, and you're a leader in our school district, and people see you, and they see Officer Duncan getting himself in shape, and he's out here, doing the hard work, doing the hard things, and so you're a great example for our kids, and for your family, and for everybody else. So,
Well, thank you.
man, great job on that. We look forward to getting a race report on your next one.
Yes,
Yes.
you have to come back. For
Yeah,
the
we'll have to
race
get more
report.
microphones.
Yeah, we'll
because
get
there's gonna be a
we'll
whole
have
lot more
Carmen here.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carmen was saying,
Doing it.
I was going to give up, and Bobby, he just kept me going. He was my inspiration, and drugged me around the course. And don't lose your beats. Don't lose
those.
Don't lose
you
your
know.
beats. But man, just a great job. And Hal, great job to you
Yes.
Yeah.
on your
enjoyed
second
it.
triathlon.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's I'm missing out, man. I haven't done any races.
Hey, the
and
dark horse is coming
the dark-
up
yeah,
October
I know.
31st.
The dark horse, I know. In fact, well, I'm going to try to do. Well, it's good. The cross country season started up, but now, like every Saturday, we've got cross country meets, and I've got 2 girls involved in that. So it's tough sledding. But man, I'm just ready for some races to open back up,
Yes.
and so we can kind of get back to normal. So we appreciate your service, what you
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you.
You guys are appreciated, and I want you to know that. And we just remind you, please go give us a review if you can. That would mean a lot to us, and that would help us. Join one of our Facebook groups, or you can like the Do Hard Things Today Facebook page. We put all our stuff out there, and the YouTubes are coming. We promise you we're going to get you a video this week. And just remember, if you'll just do the hard things today, tomorrow will take care of itself.